Welcome to More Than Maple, a show about food and culture across Canada from Bountiful Media and Harrowsmith Magazine. We have a wonderful show for you today about a topic that I am incredibly passionate about, and that is culinary tourism. We're seeing that Canadians are seeking more and more opportunities for experiential travel. And that's just one of the reasons that culinary tourism and the industry is growing both in Canada and around the world. Here in Canada, one organization, as I've learned, is leading the way to ensure that this nation is considered a delicious destination by 2030. And that one organization is the Culinary Tourism Alliance. The Culinary Tourism Alliance is a nonprofit organization focused on food tourism development and dedicated to growing food tourism in Canada for 20 years, since 2006. CTA offers a variety of services, including assisting in destination development, membership and marketing, industry and consumer events and experiences. And to me, the pièce de résistance for the Culinary Tourism Alliance is Feast On. Their Feast On program is Ontario's local food certification program, which is a flagship for the organization. So I've given a little bit of a taste, pun intended, and we are just so honored to have on More Than Maple today the president and CEO of the Culinary Tourism Alliance, Rebecca Mackenzie. Rebecca, thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule to talk to us about the Culinary Tourism Alliance and your work.
Oh, it's my absolute pleasure. I always love an opportunity to share the work that myself and my legends, as I call my teammates, the work that we get to do, because it really is, it's always exciting, it's ever changing. And the one thing that never evolves is the consumer's passion for authentic taste of place experiences. So now more than ever, we're super busy. We got lots on the go, and it's such an honor and a pleasure to join you today and share a bit more about the work that the team does.
Yeah, well, and there is a lot of work. I mean, I've had an opportunity to meet some of your colleagues, to meet some folks from the Feast On certified program just recently, one of whom was actually an award recipient for the Good Food Innovation Awards from Food Day Canada. So I've gotten a little bit of a sense of the impact of your work. And I don't even know where to begin. I mean, I actually am kind of curious. I've always been a consumer, someone who has been seeking out that experiential travel. And so I've always been looking for and gravitated towards these kind of experiences that Culinary Tourism Alliance supports. I'm curious to know how an organization like this came to be. What was that inspiration to say, you know what, we need a nonprofit organization to support this growing industry?
Well, that's a great question. And, it's exciting because this is our 20th year of the CTA this year. We were established back in 2006 to implement the 2005 to 2015 Ontario Culinary Tourism Strategy that was commissioned by the then Ministry of Tourism and Culture.
Got it.
And I was very fortunate at the time. The consultant that was brought in to create the 10-year strategy was a woman, Barb Shoplin, phenomenal woman. She actually brought me in to help with the events portion of the strategy, because at the time I was running Prince Edward County's destination marketing organization called
wonderful.
Taste the County.
Yes.
So I ran that organization for a decade, and then I ended up joining the board in 2006 as the board tried to really figure out, okay, how are we going to implement this strategy? Because it's one thing to have a strategy, it's an entirely different thing to implement it. And I was very fortunate to work with some incredible folks as we mobilized and we found funding to help activate the actions. And in 2008, when we had secured some funds, both federally from the Agricultural Adaptation Council and provincially through Ministry of Training Colleges and Universities, Ministry of Tourism and Culture, as well as Ministry of Agriculture. So 3 different ministries supporting, and one federal body supporting this work.
Let me just stop you there and say that is actually pretty impactful. The fact that you have so many different ministries and the federal government saying this is something we need to invest in says something right there.
in 2008
Right.
as well, right?
Yeah.
So I actually wrote all of those grants as a volunteer board member. And then when
Wow.
they were looking to hire an executive director, I thought, I've had a great run here in Prince Edward County. It's been 10 years. I developed the Taste Trail, Taste a Celebration of Regional Cuisine, Harvest in the County. But I got to set my eyes on something bigger. I'm going to take on Ontario. So I actually said, I'm going to quit the board and apply for the job.
Amazing.
And the funny part was they actually had to get a whole other hiring committee together who didn't know me so that I could compete without bias against the other applicants.
I respect that.
Yeah. So October 1st, 2008, I joined as the founding executive director. And here I am almost 18 years later, the CEO. And I can tell you with great pride, not only did we complete every single action within that 10-year Ontario strategy, we did so by raising those funds through the various levels of government, ministries, both provincially and federally, and the balance through the industry. So just shy of $4 million to implement a 10-year action plan. And it was 50-50 private public. We came out of that time frame, and we actually dropped the O from our name in 2016 because originally we were the Ontario Culinary Tourism Alliance, and
I remember that.
And we evolved and changed our name to the Culinary Tourism Alliance. And we started lobbying the federal government back in 2016 to see if we could get them to do a national culinary tourism strategy.
I am so glad you brought this up because this is going to be one of my next questions about the National Culinary and Agritourism Action Plan.
This will give your listeners some full context. For those that know me well, they know I'm like a dog with a bone and I don't give up easily. So however, after about 4 years of trying to get the federal government to fund an initiative, it just appeared there wasn't an appetite, pun intended. And in 2019, we actually went out and we brought the world's 50 best restaurant program to Ontario, and we did a 50 best explorers. Yeah. So we wanted to get the World 50 Best program aware of what was happening in Canada. And we thought we'd start with Ontario, and we filmed at a number of Feast on certified locations throughout the province of Ontario. And it was the first time that there was a highlight of 50 Best Explores Ontario. And it was a really great partnership because we got Destination Canada, Destination Ontario, and a number of smaller DMOs involved. And in 2020, we were going to take that.
For folks that don't know, that's Destination Marketing Organizations, correct?
Thank you. Correct. I apologize. It's a habit of being in the tourism industry.
I know.
DMO is Destination Marketing Organization. So we were going to take that program and go national in 2020, and then lo and behold, small little thing, COVID. Small little thing, COVID came, and we spent a lot of time in 2020 through to the end of 2022, really advocating on behalf of the small to medium sized businesses that were involved in our Feast On program. As you know, like the restaurants hurt so badly in Ontario because they had to be closed for so many days. So, and yet the consumer at the same time was demanding that they were really looking for ways that they could support local businesses. So in that time frame, we created a super cool campaign called Do Something Delicious and the Great Taste of Ontario.
I remember this too. This is how long I've been following the Culinary Tourism Alliance.
I love this. This is great. So coming out of doing that, the Tourism Industry Association of Canada, who we had been doing some work on industry capacity building, so coaching and education for not only businesses across the culinary and agritourism value chain, but also the destination marketing organizations that were interested.
Is this part of the READY program, the READY training program?
So that came out of the READY program. Gosh, you're so on it, Capri. You're dialed right in. That's sort of the work that we did that was a precursor to creating that formal campaign. But just to go back to sort of with TIAC support, they said, hey, can you do a Great Taste of Ontario, but for Canada? And that was really what gave us the impetus to go national. So as a not-for-profit organization, we're fueled to serve our members. And our members are those destination marketing organizations at a local, provincial, and or local, regional, and now provincial levels. We also work with sector groups, commodity groups, and educators. So in 2023, we went from 60 members in Ontario in December 2022 to 2023 going national. As of this month, we have 151 members across the country.
Wow.
And we launched a really great consumer campaign called The Great Taste of Canada. And that was really to tell more Canadians about all of the delicious things you can do across our country, right?
Yes.
From coast to coast to coast. We also then launched our Culinary and Agritourism Ready program,
Right.
which is a program where we work with destination marketing organizations to help them coach business operators that are either already delivering a culinary and agritourism experience or who want to develop one. And it's a combination of in-person meetings, virtual modules, one-to-one coaching, and then aftercare support from the destination marketing organization. So I think for your listeners, what's important to understand is we are a really complex organization, and it sounds like everything we do, it sounds like we're massive. There are 8 of us full-time and 5 contract positions, and we service all of our programs in both official languages.
Wow.
We oversee 2 consumer websites, Ontario Culinary, which is all about doing something delicious in Ontario.
Right.
And Canada Culinary, which is all about exploring the great taste of Canada. We also have a business-to-business website, culinary-tourism-alliance.com,
Right.
where it explains all of these complex things
Yes.
we do. And just for fun, we added one more website because we put on an industry conference called the Taste of Place Summit, coming up in
Yes.
2 weeks in Edmonton. So we have that website as well.
Well, I'm glad you
So-
brought that up because I will be in attendance there. I'm really looking forward to it. And it's one of the reasons that I wanted to do this episode now and kick off things in the summertime more than Maple with the understanding of the importance of culinary tourism and this Taste of Place Summit that's going to be going out in Edmonton. Give us a sense of what is going to be going on out there, who's going to be attending, what the objectives are, what can I expect?
Yes, absolutely. Well, before I go into that, I do want to mention, because we just briefly touched on the National Culinary and Agritourism Action Plan.
Yes.
So after we went national, we internally, we kept on going to the government. We kept on trying to get support from the federal government for a national strategy. As an aside, we actually did the culinary tourism strategy for Scotland. So we've actually been hired
Wow.
by other countries to do the work that we're experts in. We've worked in Belgium, in Ireland, in the Philippines, and in the US. So we identified we needed that. And so what our team did, under the leadership of our destination development manager, Ian Wart, and with consultation from operators and experts from coast to coast to coast in both official languages, after 18 months of consultation and research and engagement, we launched the National Culinary and Agritourism Action Plan in 2015, which is a four-pillar plan with 20 actions that we need to achieve as not only as an organization, but as a collective across the country in order to see Canada recognized globally as a delicious destination by 2030. The challenge, Capri, because that is what I like to refer to as a big, hairy, audacious goal, or a BHAG, is that we still have to,
I'm going to steal that.
Tell Canadians, it's one of my faves. You're welcome to it. No stealing necessary. But we need Canadians to drink our own Kool-Aid, or for example, we actually need them to drink more of their VQA wines and their craft beers and their ciders and explore the country through the lens of our foodways. So as much as we want the world to know what we have, we still actually have a lot of work to get Canadians.
Speaking my language. And that is exactly why I do what I do, because there's so much in our own backyard that I want folks
100%.
to know and understand and be able to access and celebrate.
So the summit is going to be like the best 2 days you've ever had in your career, Capri, because what it is, we're bringing together destination marketing organizations, whether it's the CEO, the chief marketing officer, or their destination development officers. We're bringing together economic development officers, educators, and small to medium-sized business operators, whether that's restaurants, accommodations, attractions, wineries, breweries, distillers, chocolatiers. So, we'll have a couple hundred folks come together, and unlike any other conference you've ever been to, we bring our delegates together. We kick off the day. We set the tone. We'll have a really wonderful keynote speaker. In fact, this year, Tam Anderson, who is, in addition to the owner of Prairie Gardens, which I think is one of the most amazing agritourism experiences in Canada, she's also the chair of the board of Agritourism Alberta. So she's going to kick off the day. And then every single delegate is going to get on one of 3 buses and go on an immersive learning journey, whether that's
Cannot
to
wait.
explore, yeah, whether you're exploring urban Edmonton, rural Edmonton, or Strathcona County. We'll be visiting businesses that are showcasing the best of what they have to offer in that destination through the lens of their unique foodways.
Mm-hmm.
The folks at Explore Edmonton, in partnership with a team members from Leduc County and Strathcona County, they've been part of the planning committee with our team for the past year. And I got to tell you, these folks are all in. Like, they get it. They are so proud of what they have. They're so excited. They're so mindful. So every single tour includes an Indigenous tourism operator. We
Fantastic.
have some, it's threaded throughout the entire summit. We have other little surprise and delight elements that will showcase the uniqueness of Edmonton and Strathcona and Leduc County. After the full day of the learning journeys, everybody's going to come back, have about an hour to freshen up, and we'll head over to the Art Gallery of Alberta, where we are going to do another showcase of Alberta and some other unique tastes of place from across the country. So it's really, we've heard from all of the conferences that we've been involved in over the years, because we actually used to do an Ontario Culinary Tourism Summit. And then for a number of years, we did manage the Terroir Symposium.
Oh, yeah,
What
sure.
we've heard, what we've heard is that people really love networking. Conferences are, content is great, but networking is where
Absolutely.
it's at. And so we got the networking. We got you lined up on day one to build some relationships, connect with like-minded people who share your passion, your interest, and we share a common goal for what we want to see Canada recognized for. Day 2 on the main stage, we're getting into the meat of things, another food pun intended. We're going to have, conversations led by Indigenous Tourism Alberta with some of their small to medium-sized operators. Yeah. We're going to have a conversation with several different craft beverage alcohol groups talking about what are the challenges to move craft beverage alcohol in this country and actually make it so it's, easy to have a taste of Canada within our own country. Because unlike many other countries, where if you go to France, it's all French on the wine list. Go to California, it's all California on the wine list. Go to New Zealand, go to, any major wine producing destination. And yet here in Canada, in Ontario, in BC, in Nova Scotia or Quebec, where there's one, you can go to restaurants that aren't featuring wines from Canada, let alone their own province. Right?
We do have parts of the United States too that do operate like that, and it's hard to get across the across states and across province issues with transporting alcohol is a challenge, and it's tough. It's tough on producers when they have such a large domestic market that they're not able to access.
Yeah, so we're having the conversations that we're having are not only about what are the challenges, but how do we as a collective overcome them? How do we celebrate those operators who figured out how to get over some of their challenges? We're going to have some really great conversations. We're going to hear from 2 young women who are both entrepreneurs who won our Tell Us How Your Taste of Place business took flight, sponsored by Air Canada.
Love that.
These young women, they're going to be sharing the story of their businesses that they started to really, really give consumers an immersive experience that celebrates their foodways. Not only, foodways are the history, heritage, and culture behind a destination. Yep. So these young women are both bringing their own flavors, if you will, and their own cultures into the businesses that they've created. Lots of surprise and delight. And honestly, it's this is our 4th year. It's a program that we feel is instrumental to mobilize all of the individuals and organizations who are invested in, again, our shared vision. Yeah. So for your listeners, tickets will be on sale until the 12th of June. It's never too late to register, and they can do that by going to tasteofplace.ca.
Well, I'm glad you put that plug in, and I'm glad that I found Taste of Place as well. I know we could talk all day long, but I want you to just very briefly, because I want you to tee up a little bit of context for our next guest. And I started our conversation saying that the Feast On program is a real cornerstone to what the Culinary Tourism Alliance does particularly within your Ontario roots. So tell us a little bit about that Feast On program, what it provides, and what the value is to businesses, because our next guest is one of those Feast On certified organizations.
Wonderful. So back in the sort of early 2010s, the Ministry of Agriculture, Foodland was running a program called Savor Ontario. They'd actually they'd taken over the branding from a marketing stream that Destination Ontario had. And we had kept on sort of saying to the ministry and to Foodland, like, love the concept. The problem is there's a lot of space for greenwashing in this program.
Yep.
Restaurants were saying that they were supporting farmers, but we talked to the farmers and the farmers are like, my name's on that menu. They haven't ordered for me in over a year. And this was kind of consistent. Or, I know this restaurant says they're doing local, but who are they buying from? Because none of the farmers around here know who they're not working with any of us. So who are they showcasing, right? Because local has been a hot word for quite a long time.
Absolutely.
Like if you look at hospitality trends, local food has been in the top 10 of those trends for at least a decade, if not more. So we were lobbying Foodland Ontario to say, like, hey, can you sunset that program and let us create something? Or can you give us that program and let us create something where we can put some criteria into place? And I'll never forget, December 2012, my board of directors said, Rebecca, you got to let this go. You've been trying to get this to work for the last 2 or 3 years.
But you said you're a dog with a bone, as you said at the beginning. So you're not about to give up.
No. So January 2013, Kathleen Wynne became premier, and her office called me and they said, are you sitting down? I said, actually, I'm driving. They're like, oh, well, you can call us back. I said, no, I'm the passenger, but I'm in a car, but I'm a passenger. And they said, well, we have some very exciting news. We wanted to let you know we'll be sunsetting the Savor Ontario program and awarding you some funding for the CTA to create a new program. So we spent all of 2013 working in consultation with both the restaurant and hospitality industry, as well as growers and producers, to create Feast On, a certified Taste of Ontario. Now, to be clear, Feast On, the ON, just it's fortuitous that it is Ontario's acronym, but
great.
It's Feast On, nom 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 nom, like on, like I'm eating it, right? So I just always have to say that. So we launched that.
I like a good pun. It works both ways. It's fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah. So we launched that in 2014, and it's a program where the operators, so whether that's a restaurant or an agritourism experience that has on-farm food service, or a winery, brewery, cidery, distillery that has on-farm, they can get registered to get certified, where we will showcase their business to consumers, and they have to meet a 25% of their annual food costs coming from Ontario growers and producers, and if they're licensed, 25% of their beverage menu, or 25 items on a beverage menu, because some restaurants have wine lists that go on in the thousands or hundreds. I should say hundreds. So that it has to be from VQA wineries, craft breweries, craft cideries, or craft distilleries. Now, we also certify growers, producers, and processors, where the primary ingredient is grown and raised in Ontario, who are interested in increasing their sales into the food service sector.
Got it.
So there's a business to business and a business to consumer component. The restaurants and the operators pay $500 a year to be certified. The certification is annual, so they go through that audit annually, and they benefit from everything from marketing their taste of place story to that food connected consumer, to doing the opportunity to build their business by one-to-one connections and through our Feast On mixers and other programming that we do to really make sure that we're continuing to foster that relationship between farmer and chef.
Oh, it sounds like an incredible program, and I'm really looking forward to welcoming our next guest to talk about their lived experience with the Feast On program. Like I said, I feel like we could be talking, forever. Consider yourself and, the entire team of rock stars at the Culinary Tourism Alliance as friends of this show, for sure. So thank you, Rebecca. Rebecca Mackenzie, the president and CEO of the Culinary Tourism Alliance, taking things on, promoting culinary tourism, not just in Ontario, but all across Canada, making it a delicious destination by 2030. Thank you again for joining the program. We would love to have you back.
It would be my absolute pleasure. Have a great day, and I look forward to seeing you in Edmonton in a few short weeks.
Sounds good. Me too. Thank you. You've been listening to More Than Maple, a show about food and culture across Canada. I'm your host, Capri Cafaro. This show is from Bountiful Media and Harrowsmith Magazine. And today we have been talking about culinary tourism. I was just speaking with Rebecca Mackenzie, the president and CEO of the Culinary Tourism Alliance, and she happened to share with us some details on their Feast On certification program, which helps distinguish local businesses across the food tourism sectors committed to sourcing Ontario-grown food and drink. So, I am now very excited to be joined by the founder of one of those Feast On certified businesses in Ontario, all the way up from Timmins. Let's welcome Brianna Humphreys from Radical Gardens. Brianna, thanks for joining the program.
Thanks for having me.
It is my pleasure. Now, I have to say, we had an opportunity to you speak previously and kind of talk offline before we're doing this interview. And I was just really blown away by your journey, your experience, and how you got to do what you're doing now. So I got to hear that story, but our listeners and viewers didn't. So humor me and share a little bit about how you ended up becoming a farmer and a chef when maybe that wasn't your original plan.
Yeah, not even close. Not even so out of left fields. But I'm an art major, and I do, or at least I used to do. I haven't had a chance to do this in a long time, but I do large scale metal sculpting and intaglio printing, and I'm a painter. And that's what I went to school for. And then when I came out, as most people do, when they come out of art school, they're very poor and they have no job prospects. So I decided to take on an apprenticeship as a pastry chef. Mm-hmm. And then I very quickly discovered every morning I was waking up really ill and I was projectile vomiting and it was just getting worse and worse. And after getting very, very sick, I ended up contracting the antibiotic-resistant strain of C. difficile. And if people don't know what that is, the layman's terms for that would be basically it gets rid of all your good gut biome. Mm. And typically, people that have it either die or get better. You get it when you have an upset stomach or the stomach flu. That's typically kind of.
I see.
And mine didn't go away for about a year and a half, and they put me on some pretty heavy-duty antibiotics during this time. So on the other end of this, my body was destroyed, and we discovered that the reason why I was probably able to contract this and the reason why I was projectile vomiting every day at work is I'm a celiac. So I am allergic. I'm allergic to wheat, barley, and rye. I'm not actually allergic. It's an autoimmune disease, but It's easier to say that.
Sure.
And so I had to kind of, now I can't be a pastry chef, and I had to get over almost dying. And my ex-husband at the time was Italian, and he ate a lot of tomatoes. So I decided to...
That's what we do.
Grow tomatoes in order to kind of get through almost dying, because that was pretty hardcore.
I can imagine.
There was a couple of days there where I wasn't actually too sure if I was going to wake up. So I've always been an avid gardener. My family owned a landscape company and garden center, which I worked at when I was a kid and up until my 20s. And so I was like, you know what, I'm just going to grow this food. And I failed so miserably at it that I was concerned that I was even a gardener, just because vegetables and flowers are just not
they're not your thing. Not your thing.
And they're just not the same. So what I did is at this point I had a bunch of people living in my house. We were all pretty poor. I hadn't had a job in a while. And so I started working on farms in exchange for knowledge and food. And so I did that for a while, and I ended up the next round of planting. I did much better. I ended up going to market, and I turned a profit, and a little light bulb went off in my head, and I was like, oh. And
Wait a
then
minute.
I plowed about 2 acres and hired my first employee.
Wow. Okay. So, first of all, let me just pause and say, I'm sorry that you've gone through all of this. Sincerely, having autoimmune diseases and all that stuff, is incredibly difficult. But it sounds like, you were able to find some grounding and processing and healing through the land. eventually once you got the hang of it.
Yeah. No, it definitely allowed me to process that a little bit better. And then as we moved through this, I hired more people, and we were going to market. And I live in a mining town, so we're heavy shift work here. The farmers market at the time was pretty low attendance. It started at 8 in the morning. It ended at 11. It was hard for us to hustle our wares. So we came up with an online farmers market that was delivered for your door, and you could pick and choose what went in it. However, that was a little ahead of its time.
Oh, yeah.
This was like about 14 years ago.
That's very ahead of its time.
And my town is quite a small town. So I think at that time we were about 30,000 people. And they were honestly a little terrified to use PayPal.
Yeah,
to pay for it. And they were also a little disconnected from the food that we were growing and the food that they were used to purchasing in the grocery store, what that looked like, what it was. And then so we ran a survey for the entire winter to see what they actually wanted. And what happened is they had no idea what I was growing. Like, they understood a radish, that it was red, but my radishes were starburst radishes or watermelon radishes, or they were green or black or whatever.
Yeah.
Because I just didn't want to grow what everybody else was growing.
Yeah.
So we discovered that really they wanted prepared food because they didn't know how to cook it.
Right.
And then we were like, okay, so let's look for an incubator kitchen, and let's do like a weekend kind of like breakfast courier that would deliver to your door. That would allow us to do the prep for the boxes. We could hustle out the amount of money it would make to pay the rent for the incubator kitchen. Right. Except it didn't really dawn on me that Timmins also would not have an incubator kitchen. So I have a bit of it's a family trait, but we like to go big or go home.
Yeah,
so
I can tell.
We definitely launched this breakfast courier, maxed out billboards across the city, like huge social media presence. It had no kitchen, and it was set to open in 2 weeks. Oops. So I happened to be driving around the city one day in a monumentally huge monsoon rainstorm, and I came across this building. I remembered it was an old catering company. I knew how long it had been closed. I looked in the window. I could see a stove. I could see tongs. I could see small wares and stuff. Yeah. And I was like, so I gave the real estate agent a call, and he happened to be around the corner. So he came over. He let me into the building, and I bought it right there. Cash and carry.
Amazing.
They gave me the keys. Gave me the keys. Let me in on Monday.
Just in the nick of time. Just in the nick of time for that 2 weeks.
Worked 2 weeks around the clock, and at this point, we still were only doing a weekend breakfast courier.
Right.
And then as we're cleaning through, one of my friends at the time was like, "Hey, you've now incurred way more debt than originally thought. I think that maybe you should actually just cook food." And I'm like, I haven't worked in a restaurant. Like, being a pastry chef in a commercial bakery is not the same thing.
Absolutely, yeah.
It is totally different, right? Like, I've been like a bartender and a shooter girl, but like not a restaurant.
Yeah.
So, but I was like, sure, why not? And so we decided to open with daily cooked food. Mm-hmm. So we opened.
Well, let me just ask real quick. I mean, were you like utilizing the things that you grew and you were cooking, or were you also sourcing?
Well, we were also sourcing for our market, so we were just using the stuff that was already in the building. Like, we already had hooked up with a butcher. Who's still our butcher to this day, and the farmers that we were using, who a lot of them still supply me.
Yeah.
And so I just started cooking with the food that was in the building.
Amazing.
And, we opened with a lineup down the street. It was probably the worst service ever anybody's ever seen. It was awful. I honestly don't know how people came back, but I guess they had faith in me. And so and then we ended up with no business model, no plan, no menu. The goal, what we started doing was making one thing a day. And we'd go until it sold out, we'd close, and then we'd start again the next day. Yeah. It'd be a completely different menu.
Well, I mean, that's as local as it gets. I mean, you're adapting to whatever is available at that sense. Now, you talked about go big or go home, and, kind of like flying by the seat of your pants, doing things as they came with no plan and executing them, well, maybe at the time seemed, a little bit chaotic, you managed to be able to do it. But we've totally glossed over the fact that you're in Timmins, which is way north.
Yes.
Timmins and farming doesn't necessarily come together for me, and probably for most of our viewers and listeners, right? Because it's like, what are you even farming in Timmins? Like, what are you even growing? What actually can survive in that environment? Or do you just use like a hoop house or a greenhouse?
Well, it's an interesting climate. So it can be the coldest place and the warmest place in the country all in the same year. It's very extreme. It breeds extreme people and extreme weather, and it can be a lot.
I feel like I'm a lot. I think I need to go visit Timmins.
You probably should. The bonus is like in the dead of summer here, we get about 12 to sometimes 16 hours of sunlight.
Mm-hmm.
And it is very hot and humid in the summer.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have a lot of growing time. Well, we don't have that time in length because our growing season is quite short.
Right.
We do have a lot in the day.
Right.
So
it's just a different type of length. You have a lengthy day for a shorter amount in the year.
Yeah, so we're beholden to about 120 days on any crop. That's max.
Mm-hmm.
Absolute max. And even that's a little difficult. So when we first started farming, we were basic market gardeners. We always sold carrots and lettuce, and we did all of the things. As we ventured into also owning a restaurant, then also became a catering company, and then later on got a food truck.
What don't you do? What don't you? So let me just back up. Like, what are all the things that you have now?
So currently right now, we are a large mushroom farm. We grow organic mushrooms. Mm-hmm. We're a farm-to-table restaurant.
Okay.
That does a great deal of lunch and dinner. Mm-hmm. And dinner is a bit more fine dining. Lunch is mostly just sandwiches and burgers. And we do have a catering company. And we also have a bakery that makes scratch-made stuff every day and does birthday cakes and stuff. And
amazing.
We used to do a lot more. This is actually a very small snippet of what we do. We scaled that down over COVID, which was honestly awesome. Just got to scale back a bit. And then kind of redirect our efforts into what seems better for us. And especially because, like, I started this when I was young, and now I'm in my mid-40s, and it's a lot. Like, I can't work that much anymore. Yeah. As much as, like, mid-40s isn't that old, but
I feel you.
It is in comparison to 28. So.
Right. Absolutely. There's no question about that. I mean, particularly if you're out there physically, on your feet and doing some of the labor as well. I mean, it's a lot, but it takes up a lot of time to even, if you're not, always the person on your feet anymore, doing the marketing, doing the outreach, planning the menus, working with the different partners that you have, like your butcher, et cetera. I mean, it is absolutely a lot. I wanted to ask one thing before I shift gears over to the Feast On program, because I obviously want to talk to you about that. But I remember one of the things that you told me was that when I asked you originally in our initial conversation about farming up in Timmins, you said that you also do a lot of foraging. And now and getting foraged ingredients. Do you still do that? Because I think that's super interesting, particularly with the Boreal Forest. And what do you get? What do you get up there? Like, what can you? I mean, I'm sure that it changes as far as availability, and even things that are available might not necessarily be available in the same volume from one year to the next.
Yeah. Like, I watch all my chef buddies pick ramps and fiddleheads and stuff.
Yeah.
And like, you ain't getting none of that up here. Our fiddleheads have like a day. They're like, fiddlehead, ostrich fern, like 2 days later.
Yeah.
And they're just like, they're not great. But I predominantly focus on using trees. That's my...
Okay.
I'm in the Boreal Forest. I'm in a heavy coniferous tree area. I'm in the Greater Cochrane Clay Belt also, which keeps soil really cold. And it allows for some really interesting things to happen. Like pork up in Northern Ontario tastes vastly different than anywhere else. Our carrots taste like candy because our soil is so cold.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of our fruit and veg does taste quite a bit different. But in the case of foraging, we use a lot of spruce tips, which I'm actually going to go forage after I get off this, because it's Wines of Ontario week next week, and we are paired with cassava, and I have a really cool menu planned. Not next week, the week after. And so we need to pickle some spruce tips, which I'm on hopes and prayers that I at least get some nubs today, because when you pickle them, they taste like olives. So
interesting. Okay. Well, okay. I am learning things, and now I'm so intrigued. I'm ready to go to Timmins. I'm telling you.
But we've made bread with pine bark. We actually just had a duck dish on the menu with a sustainably harvested birch bark au jus.
Oh wow!
And I cook with fresh saplings often.
I'm so curious about the process of being able to utilize and integrate bark as an ingredient. Okay. Yeah, I was going to say, I'm assuming, because when you said flour, the bread, I'm assuming that you had to mill it in some way, but the au jus, that's fascinating.
Yeah, we made a tea and then cooked it down and then made the au jus out of it.
Oh,
and then,
wow.
So we're using the red part of the birch bark, so we have to wash off the white.
Yeah.
And then use the red, steep that into a tea, turn that into the
How do you figure this out? I mean, somebody could give me a pile of bark and I'd be like, I don't know.
Honestly, trial and error, because we really started doing this, especially when we first opened about 11 years ago. And that's long before kind of a lot of restaurants were doing this. So honestly, we've just been figuring out what is disgusting and what is not disgusting.
Fair enough.
As we go through, we discovered pine bark and milled into bread is bordering on disgusting, but can be not disgusting. But it also has a lot of caffeine in it, which we didn't know. And so it definitely is like an espresso shot. And, stuff like the smell of tamarack, birch, pine, and I forget what other bark we were processing at the same time. All cooking at the same time is the most disgusting smell on earth, and should be avoided at all costs. But it's mostly a case of trial and error, and we're so often left field up here. We're so out of the norm of chefs and across Canada and into the States and in other countries that are being innovative, and we have such a little amount of crops to deal with.
Yeah, but that's what I think has sparked this level of creativity. I mean, and that it's born of necessity, but it's what makes the country so unique and diverse and rich, and why I feel like food can tell the story of place, because bark right now is telling me the story of Timmins. I mean, and telling our listeners and viewers the story of Timmins. This is, I mean, I'm just so excited and fired up to have this conversation. I just was saying to our previous guest with Rebecca from Culinary Tourism Alliance, I feel like I could talk to you guys forever. But we don't have forever. And before I let you go, because apparently you got to go find some spruce tips, I do want to ask you about the Feast On program, which I know is that cornerstone for the Culinary Tourism Alliance in Ontario. And wanted to get a firsthand account of what the Feast On program does and what it means to someone that's participating in it.
So the Feast Ontario program, I've been in it for about 10 years now. I think it's been in inception 11. I came on board basically right at the beginning when Rebecca had just started it. And not only has Rebecca and the team been an invaluable bit of knowledge, and help and connection. It's so nice to be able to have some connection to other chefs.
Yeah.
Because we're just off doing our own weird stuff up here in Timmins, and you just think that you're just some weirdo cooking with pine bark, and then so finally we end up doing some events with CTA, and we meet other chefs who are kooky like us. They like doing kooky stuff. And then, all of a sudden we're putting together, events, and we're doing stuff together. And it's been not only a nice feeling because I'm, I can be upwards of 10 hours away. I'm 8 hours away from Toronto.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's such a disconnect. And I'm in a mining town that loves meat and potatoes, no seasoning, pepper and spicy.
Mm-hmm.
And to legitimize us in a sense that, like, yeah, we are expensive. We're an expensive restaurant for sure. But we're expensive because we use quality food and we pay our staff really well, and they have benefits, and we have 100% retention for a reason. And our food price reflects that. And it was the legitimacy that gave us for our community to be, I guess, okay with us, really honestly helped us move forward. And Rebecca inviting us on events and including us in material. And always, honestly, like, I'm the biggest fan of the Feast Ontario program, but the Feast Ontario program is also one of my biggest fans. And it's so
I know this.
reciprocated.
Yeah.
And like I love Rebecca. And I'm pretty sure that feeling is pretty mutual.
Absolutely. I know that.
And she's a baller of a woman. And like, she just, like, her and the team just go above and beyond for their Feast Ontario restaurants and purveyors. And it's been they have given me, a lowly little cook up in Timmins, the opportunity to cook for amazing people at amazing events all over the province. And what an invaluable program to make it a point. Like, just the other day they decided to do a whole thing on me. Like, that's cool. I didn't even ask. They just did it.
Oh,
that happens all the time. It's like, the program it costs $500. You will get that back in marketing material pretty quick.
yeah.
And I think the key also to being a Feast Ontario representative, like Feast Ontario certified, is it allows you to be like, I'm local and someone audits me.
Right.
And you are held accountable. It keeps you on your straight and narrow, like, you could call Cisco. You could get the cheaper tomatoes.
Right.
But that you're going to get audited. And it helps, like for me,
that's cool. Well, that's
not me, but
that's the value, though. I mean, that's the value of Feast On, is that auditing is what creates that continuity and provides, the credibility of that certification, because you know what you're getting when you have that Feast On, stamp of approval. So, it's what I hear is that you got rock stars at the Culinary Tourism Alliance amplifying the voices of rock stars such as yourself. No such thing as some little cook up in Timmins. I mean, all of these different stories all across Canada, and certainly all across Ontario with Feast On, really are showing the depth and the diversity of what Canada grows, what Canada makes, what Canada harvests and fishes and everything else, and ultimately what all of us enjoy eating and drinking. This has just been a blast. Brianna Humphreys from Radical Gardens up in Timmins, Ontario. Thank you for joining us today.
My pleasure.
I'm Capri Cafaro, and welcome to More Than Maple, a show about food and culture across Canada from Bountiful Media and Harrowsmith Magazine. We've been talking about culinary tourism across Canada, and one of the key components of culinary tourism is agritourism and things like farm strays. Those are critical components of the culinary tourism landscape. And so in researching agritourism destinations across the Atlantic part of Canada, I came across Lindsay Lake Farms. Located in Nova Scotia, the farm offers a variety of experiences to visitors. And I am happy to be joined by the co-owner of Lindsay Lake Farms now, Christiane Teerling, to tell us all about what is on offer there at Lindsay Lake Farms. I could tell you, but it's not going to do it any justice. So, Lindsay, welcome to the program.
Hi, thank you so much for having me today on your podcast.
It's our pleasure, certainly. Well, you know what? Before we get into what Lindsay Lake Farm offers to visitors, I want to learn and have you share with our viewers and listeners a little bit about you and your journey into farming. So why don't we start there?
Yes, so the journey started 32 years ago when I met my husband. I didn't know at this point I will end up on a farm in Canada, but as life goes, things you have to figure out. And so, yes, we moved 6 years ago now from Germany to Canada and took our whole farm with us. And we had a vision for the farm that we bought here. And ever since then, we have been developing, and now we are getting to a phase where we're starting to have visitors and customers. And we are so happy that our vision for the farm is now visible, and we can have customers and guests here, and it's a great time for us now.
That's wonderful. And it looks like a beautiful day there in Nova Scotia on the farm. You said you took your whole farm with you from Germany to Nova Scotia. You got to give me a little bit more detail on that, because I can't imagine that you literally picked it up and moved it, but it does obviously sound like you were engaged in farming in Germany.
Yes, we had a deer farm in Germany with 250 head of red deer. And we always wanted to grow, but because we were just first-generation farmers, and as you may understand, Germany is very crowded, so we didn't find a spot to grow. And with this came the idea of moving somewhere else. And so we had looked up some farms on the internet. And in 2019, this farm here in Nova Scotia showed up. And so we made a trip to Nova Scotia, fell in love with the place, and here we are. And then it started like, how do we do this? And so we carefully decided, okay, we will take our stuff, what we have in Germany, with us. And at the end, it was 12 shipping containers and 15 tractors and trailers. So yes, because we were moving when we bought the farm before COVID, and we took ownership of the farm while COVID happened. And so there was no way of just selling everything in Germany, because at this point nobody wanted to buy anything. And so we made the decision to move everything. And at the end, it was the best idea and the best decision we could make, because we could already start here. We had our equipment, we had everything we needed. And this, looking back, was the best decision to make.
Well, I guess everything happens for a reason, and it sounds like it worked out perfectly for you and your family. You mentioned red deer that you farmed in Germany, and you didn't have enough room to do a number of other things that you wanted to do in Germany. So, of course, Canada is certainly not short on space, and beautiful space at that. And so what did you decide on at Lindsay Lake Farms? Was it already in operation when you purchased it, or did you modify it? What have you been doing since 2019 to bring this farm to life?
So yeah, the farm was not a running farm anymore. The beauty of this farm is actually that so there's a lake in the middle of our property, and so it's a beautiful landscape that we have here. And since we couldn't farm red deer here, but we were used to have wild animals, and we had some contacts into the bison industry here in Canada, we decided to go with bison, because they are native to this country. There are a keystone species in the ecosystem. And also sustainability was always a major vision for us. And everything we do here comes from the beginning to the finish. It's all about that we can do as much as possible ourselves. We raise the animals, we take care of them, and at the end we make beautiful products out of them too. So there's a life cycle, and that's the beauty of this farm here. Allows us to also have accommodation for people to come and stay here. So
I noticed that on the website. So what would someone, if they were visiting, what would be a typical day or a weekend on the farm, say if they were staying in the accommodations?
So a typical weekend would look like you come here, and first of all, you acknowledge that there's peace here. There's no noise, no distraction, just pure nature and pure real life. We are a working farm, so you can participate in real things that are going on here, help feed the bison, or even like just go and walk around the trails that we have here. We have 2,000 acres, so there's much space to walk, and you can interact with our Clydesdale horses. So every stay here can be curated to your needs. If you just want to have privacy, that's fine. If you want to participate and see how real agriculture works, and see what's going on, we have a lot of equipment here that we can let you understand how this works, So there's lots of things here. And our really vision is to reconnect people with nature, with agriculture, and be a steward for the land.
Well, I want to talk further about the steward of the land, but I'm listening to all these different things that someone could do, right? You can interact with the Clydesdales, you can, go and feed the bison and do all of these different things, right? And so what is really interesting to me is that this is if you want it to be, it is incredibly hands-on. Right. It's incredibly hands-on. And so I'm wondering, some people just want to lay on the beach. Some people maybe want a city break. But there are certain folks, myself included, that want to have experiential travel. And that's what agritourism, I feel like, really offers. What do people tell you when they call you up and say, I want to come visit your farm? What are they saying? What are they seeking doing a unique experience like this?
Yeah, so, sorry. They actually really are interested in what we are doing here. A great part of what we offer here is also the interaction with the Clydesdales, having a real session with horses, touch them, be with them, and just see what's happening with your own self, So, and people are astonished about the quiet, the stillness here. And the interactions you can have with also the wildlife. We have we have deers here, we have beavers, we have owls, we have Canada geese, we have so many different wildlife species here too that you are able to witness if you just take the time. And so it's really even like touching the chickens is for some people something they've never seen, they've never done. And so what is for us normal is for people come from the city is sometimes really something, oh my God, that's great, And so it's so great to see that people start realizing that this mass tourism is not what they are looking for. It's more like this personal touch. And every visitor that comes here is greeted by us personally. So there's still this personal connection. And that's what makes it, even when they stay in our cottages, these cottages are furnished with our furniture that we brought over from Germany. So every painting on the wall has a story because they were paintings from my late mother. So every piece of furniture here has a story, and that makes it so personal. And I think that's what people are looking for again: connection and feel like welcomed on a personal stage.
Yeah, no, I'm hearing slow and authentic are the two things that really stand out to me as far as your experience is concerned, and being a steward of the land, and for the folks that are in the city and want to break from the nonstop digital age that we live in, to be able to go out and touch grass, as the kids say these days, is really an invaluable experience. And the fact that you all place sustainability and stewardship as a priority at the farm, I think is really important. To the point that even if I'm not mistaken, you were recognized by Parks Canada as a sustainable tourism destination. Is that right?
Yes, we last year in November, we received the Parks Canada Sustainable Tourism Award, which helps us really, and it recognizes our work.
Yeah.
For sure.
And what is the criteria to be able to get that from Parks Canada?
I think it's the overall appearance what we had when we when we applied for it. It's like showcasing that in so many different varieties here with farming or even forestry, we have this vision of sustainability, and it's not just a vision, we live it every day. And so I think that's what got them the most, that we are proving every day that there is sustainability and it's possible in a business, right?
Mm-hmm. That is great. I mean, I love that, Christiane, that whole concept of living it every day. And those of us that get a chance to visit, get a little piece of that daily experience that you have. If somebody wants to come and live that life for a few days, how could they find you?
So we have our website, lindsaylakefarms.com. We are also very active on social media, on Instagram and Facebook. So it's always Lindsay Lake Farms. And they can send us emails to our account, so there's lots of opportunities to get in touch with us. And it's always on a personal level. We don't have a booking system so it's always very personal here. And we love it that way. It's still a little bit analog.
Well, I think people are really looking for an analog experience these days to stay grounded and remember what's beyond our phones, right, out there. So that is just wonderful. It sounds like a great experience. My one last question to you, as I was just thinking about it, is seasons. Are there times of the year that you're closed?
Absolutely not. We are 365 days a year because, every season has its beauty. Every season, like we had a great winter, we had snow for at least 3 months. And so seeing bison in the winter, sometimes it's harsh and it's not easy, but that's life, If we can't just showcase the beauty, we also have to showcase the normality. And so it's for us, because we are here, we live here, it's 365.
Okay, that's good to know. I think that's practical information that I think folks would have definitely asked, and so I wanted to, as I was thinking of it, wanted to ask you about as well. But let me tell you something. I love the fact that you're open 365, and that this really is a true experience, not one that is just curated for visitors, even if they do come from around the world. So, Christiane Teerling from Lindsay Lake Farms in Nova Scotia, thank you so very much for joining More Than Maple.
Thank you so much for having me today.
More Than Maple is a production of Bountiful Media North America for Harrowsmith Magazine. It's researched, written, and hosted by me, Capri Cafaro. Recorded at That Toronto Podcast Studio in Toronto, Ontario, with technical support and post-production by 115 Creative.